Alright, welcome back, and I was kind of in the mood to draw an animal for whatever reason, so I just quickly looked for a dog, and I saw this image, which is pretty cool. It's got some nice lighting, nice rim lighting, and it's darker color, so a little bit more sketching, a little bit more shading, which is probably a good thing. Alright, so let's get started with this dog, and I'm not even sure what breed this dog is. That's how much I know about pets. Okay, so all right, let's get started. I'm just gonna use a 6B, and I want to do quite a bit of shading, so let's go ahead and draw it slightly bigger than I normally would. So this is gonna be, I guess, the skull. It's gonna come down. So here's the slant. Let me adjust my phone here a little bit. Okay, so here's the snout. So it's just gonna go this way. So once I establish that, then I'll come around. You see the skull is kind of, if my snout is this long, the skull is longer. So I'm gonna double this, so it's gonna come all the way back here. So that's just kind of how I like to, visualize the shapes. Just find one segment of it and then check it against the other segment. So, the snout, and then the skull is gonna be a little bit longer than the snout. So just push that out. All right, and then let's see the eye right here. Here's the socket. It's gonna come down here. Here's the eye. Okay, and then once you have the eyeball, we can come down. If we come straight down from the eyeball, you're gonna hit the corner of the mouth. So I'm just gonna draw a line coming down first. So I know the corner of the mouth is gonna be somewhere right here. So now I'm gonna, well, let's try the nose a little bit. Let's say it's that one little bump here, and it's gonna come in. So now I know, let's see, it's got two curves, one, and now I know the corner of the lip is somewhere right here. Okay, down, and there's a couple of bumps here. There's a lot of little saggy skin. Okay, so once I have this, now I can come up, draw the jawline right here. And then let's see, okay, let's come down. Let's come back up here, finish up the skull area. It's gonna go up a little bit more, so you can see how off I was at the beginning. And then for the ear, it kind of comes in, straight down here, comes down. The tip of the ear is gonna be right around here. So I'm making a horizontal line just to visualize that. Ear's gonna fold in here. Got a little fold here. Yeah, a lot of interesting shapes going on here. Okay, so it looks a little long. Let's see if I draw in the neck here. That kind of helps kind of squish up the face a little bit because it looks a little long. I think my snout is too long, so I can adjust that real quickly. So let's just come in here. Let's shorten it by that much. I mean, it's just a dog, so I mean, it could have been okay if I just left it longer, but okay. Now it looks like a little. Now it kind of looks like it's a little too short, but okay, let's just go for it. All right, so let's just go for it and start shading. And just to quickly recap, the way you draw something like this, the side views are relatively easier. Start with the overall slant of whatever shape that you're drawing. You can draw a line there, and then block in the bigger areas. And then in order to measure, certain areas, use the vertical lines, horizontal lines, so that you know just roughly where the elements are. And in general, you can kind of get it pretty close. All right, so let's start with the darkest area here. This eye right here is pretty dark. So I'm just gonna punch that in. Hopefully that'll help me set the darkest tone here. And then there's a highlight just a bit on the eye right here, so I'm just gonna leave that. And all this is gonna be in the shade, so it's actually gonna be darker than this. It's right here. So this part, let's see, let's mark in some area. So it comes down here, and then this is almost, yeah, very, let's just draw that. This is kind of in the shadow. So I can do that first. Let's make this right here. Here's the Terminator. There's some rim lighting coming off the side here, which makes it very interesting. All right, so I'm trying to stay loose here. Terminator here, because the rim lighting ends right here. So this part needs to be darker in here. See, there's a little bit back here. Guess dogs have that too. I have one cat, just an outdoor cat, just got took in. And I took in another 3 kittens, and they're in the garage right now. So I do know a little bit, but not too much about them. My wife kind of takes care of them. And then, you know, once they grow a little bit older, or I give a couple of the kittens away and just have another one on the back. So cats are easy, not like dogs. Okay, so let's see. So I'm just doing more shading in here. Maybe I can just concentrate on this area a little bit more. Just kind of talking and lost my train of thought. Okay, so here, dark. So this is kind of in the shadow too. And it's gonna be slightly darker up here. So again, I'm really rough. Just kind of in the mood to do some shading. You don't want to think too long in one area. So I'm just turning my pencil at a different direction if I want to make it sharper or darker crosshatch. Okay, so let's see. Let's come down here. This is a pretty cool shape here. So again, this is going to be darker. Let's see. The rim lighting, there's some here. This is what's going to give the jawline, so I got to make sure to keep that. Okay, I'm just gonna go, all right, let's go toward the front, and then we can come back and maybe finish up this area right here. So very broad strokes, and we can always come in and add more details later. All right, so coming out here, let's start on the snout then, or the nose. So I'm just gonna draw the shape, this line right here, really deep, right there, right on top. And then this comes around here, and this is all dark. So the nose right here is pretty dark. There's a highlight here and highlight here. So you gotta make sure you want to keep those. I mean, even though it's dark, kind of want to know where it is so that we can make this other part darker, and that's gonna give us the little highlight there. Okay, so I'm trying to be a little bit more sure with my strokes. There's a white area down here, so this thing comes around, and all this part right here is darker. So I can shade it like that first. Some more detail up here, and down here. But let's draw in the mouth, because this is a nice dark line. Kind of tucks up, and it comes back down with a little curve like this. Okay, and then let's see, this part, okay, let's just give it one shade, and then this part's gonna sink in. This part's dark here. There's a little bit of lip right here. Just little, make sure you keep that lighter so we can see that the roundness of this, the corner of the mouth right here. I'm trying to keep my strokes nice, as if I really and I know what I'm doing. So if I keep going over, it just kind of means I'm not sure, and that's, you know, that's just me improving. If I get better, I should be able to hit that, and it should be correct, but not there yet. So let's keep going. All right, so let's see. I'm gonna shade this one shade, but there's a little bit of highlight right here. It's like an almost triangular shape here, and you can actually mark that. Just mark it like that, and then you can circle the highlight right here. So I'll make this slightly darker. Okay, so there's a little bump here, and then the rest. Give this one shade. Okay, and there's a little highlight here, so that means all this part here should be a little bit darker. This kind of tucks in more. It kind of connects. Here's a bottom. We can exaggerate that so we can really bring out this little highlight, this little rim lighting on the jaw. The ear's pretty cool. There's a lot of little stuff going on at the ear. Okay, so now that I've drawn this, again, see how this area is just not dark enough anymore. So now I have to come in. And that's what I mean. It's so difficult to try to get it correct the first time around. So the point of this, you know, as you're sketching this or anything else, that is kind of goal, you know, at least it is for me, is to try to see it correctly the first time. It'll just minimize the amount of shading, and when the strokes are more sure, more deliberate, you know, it comes across as more of a professional drawing. And you know, that's what I'm kind of always aiming for. If we keep shading, you know, of course we can make everything smooth and all, but if you can get it correct with these kind of simple shading like this, it really looks cool. And people can see that, they're like, oh, that's really nice. Like, that's why I love looking at sketches more than you know, completely render, you know, finished drawings, because with the finished drawing, you sometimes you can't tell, you know, how long it took them, and it's just a lot of grind. But if they can do it with a simple sketch and it still has all the correct values, then that's really cool to me. I just love looking at that stuff. Okay, so let's see. Okay, this is kind of getting there. Let's continue on. Let's get some of the ear. I mean, it's more complicated here on the ear. It's a lot of folds here. I'm not sure what's going on. Okay. So there's a little bit of bounce lighting here. This is really important, so I'm just gonna take it out right now. I'm just gonna leave that white, even though the dog is kind of grayish. I think it's nice to exaggerate that kind of stuff in order to give it a little bit more pop. You know, because if you do everything gray, that's kind of boring. Okay, so the ear, let's see, it's gonna come down here. Dark here, this sinks in. Right here, dark. Oh yeah, this is actually very complicated. Okay, there's a bulge here. This is shadow. This part shadow. This is in the shade. Here's the terminator. So there's a very cool bounce lighting here. Let's just give this a slight shade first. Okay, so I'm seeing, let's see, a big area. This is dark. This is dark coming down. This whole part's dark here. So there's this one shape here. This is dark. This is dark. And then this shape kind of fans out here. Okay, so this is in the shadow. From the lights right here is casting, hitting this with the highlight. It dies off here. This shadow right here casts a shadow on this part. It's just a little bump here, and then this light area is a reflective light from from all the other else, from the environment, or from the dog itself. So this is a very complicated area. If you kind of glaze over it, sometimes that's just whatever, dark area, light area, and it's better to understand what is actually going on, and then we can hopefully shade it correctly. It took me a while, to understand that kind of stuff, just to really read it. So reflective lights are very important. Okay, so let's add in a little more detail here. This little fold. I'm going to exaggerate this little terminator here. So again, we're going to hit, this is a reflective light. This is kind of shadow or in the shade. Very sharp edge right here in the ear. This blends in a little bit more. Darker here. Very dark up here. Okay, let's see. In order to see this edge, let's go ahead and draw part of the neck here. So I'm going to shade this. Let's see. So this is like a tube. Here is the terminator. I know it's a little bit flatter. There's some musculature, obviously. So here is the back, and this part's going to be darker. Let's see if I can get this right. Darker. Not quite, but it always looks easier at the beginning. Then once you start shading, you're like, oh my god, there's so much little shading and bounce lighting here and there. So like even down here, so this part's dark right here, but there's another ridge right here, and there's a little terminator right here, and then here's the highlight. And then this sinks in. This part's darker, so now we're connecting to this. Dark. So this part right here, this is actually very important right here, to make this dark, because it's gonna make this ear right here pop out. But you don't want to make this like overall like a hard line here, because right here has definition. So if you have a hard line, then you're gonna flatten out the neck area. So that's why you have to, want to be careful with that. Okay, so darker here, slightly darker here, here. Now I'm just trying to see things in patches. Here, darker here. Let's see, eye. Okay, we're back here now because we started with this. I can add in a little more detail. Slightly darker on the top for the eyeball. So now I can add in a little more detail here. I'm seeing all these little shapes, and this will help. This is kind of the fun part in a way, because now you're really gonna bring it to life. You're gonna add in all those little details, and it's gonna look a lot more complicated than it really is. So I'm just going around, seeing these shapes. If I see something, there's a little angle there, so I'll push that in here. I'm just gonna keep this whiter here because it's really nice. This needs to connect. This line here needs to be darker. See, there needs to be a little bit more definition on this. So I'm gonna punch this in to help me bring this out. So think of the surrounding area, right? Because the only way we can see certain values, this will feel light if we make this dark. So that's how it's all about contrast. What's around it? So there's some bumps here. Now we're back to the eye again. Okay, we can clean up this area. So if you look at this right here, this shape, right on the edge right here is slightly darker. So I'm just gonna punch that in. Okay, and it gives it a nice little, when this becomes darker, this area right here almost looks like it's a kind of reflective lighting. So it gives it a little bit more, much more interest visually. So this is looking a little flat right here. So let's try to add in more details. Darker here, darker here. This part sucks right here. Something is wrong right here. It just looks too flat. I'm just gonna dab it. And that's a good way of getting rid of stuff, and then just redraw it, you know, see if you can get it better. See if I can get it better, I mean. Yeah, because like sometimes right here, it looks a little bit non-organic, this line right here. Just doesn't feel right. All right, let's just go with that. All right, let's keep going. Darker here. My pencil is really blunt. I might need to sharpen this. Okay, give me 1 second. I need to sharpen this because when I put on my pencil, I'm not sure where it's hitting because it's so round. And that's the problem with a blunt pencil. Right, let me shade this. Let me sharpen this real quick. All right, back with a sharper pencil. So now I can add in just a little bit more detail here. I'm varying the direction of the stroke because I want to even things out slightly. I don't want to, there's a lot of direction going on here. Sometimes nice, sometimes it isn't. But if you go with a different direction, it's kind of, you know, circle things around for you. And that way you'll feel a little bit more round on stuff. It's almost like contour lines. So there's a little bit of reflective lighting here, which is kind of important. So this needs to be lighter. So I'm just gonna dab it out. Okay, let's keep going. Here. this point, I'm just trying to even things out. Connect certain areas, in the shading. Make sure there's no weird gaps in between. Here, darker. Some lines in here, folds. And there's almost like little veins in here. I'm not gonna draw that, but the only way to get that out is if I use an electric eraser, or I guess I can just dab it like that. Yeah, it's kind of hard. Okay, let's just keep going. I don't know, these veins, should I even bother? Maybe just a little. There's a lot of bumpiness to the skin, so I want to add that in at least. Oh, the ear, oh, see, I didn't even see this. This is slightly darker. See now, so this is white, and then this folds in, and this is, yeah, kind of comes over a little bit. So that needs to be a little bit darker. All right, so I'm back, and this is my final drawing, and I mostly end up using a 4B just to fill in some of the, just pretty much refine everything and smooth things out. And it was actually pretty easy. It didn't take me too long to do this, maybe like 20 minutes or so, because I guess, the hard part was done already, and that was, trying to identify all the areas and getting the correct value. Once you have that, the filling in and fixing little areas actually pretty fun. I actually enjoyed it a lot. It was a very good shading exercise. So I'm just gonna leave it like this, and I did end up just drawing a line around it just to, I don't know, make it a little bit more stylized, or else we're gonna lose the shape of the dog. Alright, so that is it for this little dog drawing. Hope you guys like the way it turned out, and I will see you guys next time.